Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Pabs, a racing VTuber and artist, and today we're going to be learning a little bit about something called the windmill principle. So, if you just Google windmill principle, you're probably going to get the same result that I did, which is just the actual mechanical functions of a windmill, which is quite fascinating. I'm not going to lie. You know, having it like this really lays it out clearly for you. I love that this is for like a contemporary wind turbine, but the actual text is like from like an old timey circus wagon or something. Very funny. But yeah, no. What might get you better results is windmill principle art. And this is where I kind of found these two things. So this is something that I'd heard about a while ago with a drawing that somebody posted on the internet. So I decided to take a look into it a little bit more. So I thought that would be something good to do together on stream. So let's start with this one. This guy's got a monkey on his shoulder. Or the monkey is the one who has a blog. It's a little bit unclear. For many years, I had a print of this painting by Rembrandt on my wall. I looked at it often. So you know you can trust him. I don't know. I feel like what makes me trust him isn't the fact that the monkey's there, but more so that the monkey appears to be like disaffected by him. I feel like if he had a monkey and the monkey was like clinging to him and like very clearly liked the guy, I do think that it's a little bit suspicious. That is like a supervillain behavior to have a small creature, even like a ferocious one like a monkey, at your beck and call. However, like the monkey appears to just be sharing the space with them. Neither of them really wants to be here, but neither of them wants to not be there. Very equanimous. Also, hi, Pearl. So, something about the tonal arrangement gave me a strange feeling of satisfaction I couldn't quite identify. It's a simple design with a majestic feeling of fading light. But what was it about that windmill that grabbed my attention? All at once it dawned on me. The veins of the windmill have been painted with great attention to tonal relationships. The upraised vein is light against dark. The one opposite that is dark against light. The other two are subordinated. One is dark against dark, and the other is light against light. Each vein of the windmill represents one of the four possible tonal arrangements. Ah, I get it. Okay, so like for this one, the sky is dark, but the windmill vein is light. Over here, the windmill vein is light, but so is the sky. Down here, the windmill vein is shaded, but so is like the body of the windmill. And down here, the windmill vein is dark, but the sky is light. It's like a Bach fugue that puts the subject through every possible inversion. The resulting effect marries the subject to the backgrounds in such a way that both separates and embeds it. In total terms, it invites and delights. Never heard of windmill principle? I heard about it offhandedly one time, and I was like, I should get into that. I should learn more about that. I love windmills. Also, new fancy chair, right? Yeah, it's like a Temu Herman Miller. It balances out quite nicely. The Herman Millers are supposed to be really good for your back, but it's from Temu, so it's only just kind of mid. It's a very serviceable kind of seat. Also, hi, Bunny. Okay, so wait. The first one is light against dark. Okay. Oh wait, no, they lay it out down here. I started to look for the windmill principle in other painters. In this Anders Zorn portrait, the figure is rendered with all four conditions of tone in relation to her surroundings. At 1, she is light against light. Okay, yeah, with the vegetables and the nondescript silverish thing back here. 2, light against dark. Right, okay, with the light coat but the darker wall. Dark against dark, which is the shadowed sleeve against the darker wall. And 4, dark against light, which is the wall actually is brighter than the kind of drop shadow on the dress here. Note that the subordinate edges at 1 and 3 are blurred out a little more. Okay, 1 and 3 is light against light, and 3 is dark against dark. Okay. So it's almost like when they're together, they're supposed to be blended out a little bit. Maybe. And I can see that a little bit over here, too. The light against light is a little bit more defined, but the dark against dark is very... It kind of melts together. It appears again here in this painting by Sir Alfred Moonings. Is this intentional? Were these artists aware of what they were doing? While we can't ask them, I believe they were very aware of this principle, whatever they called it. Huh. Okay, and this must be the same thing. Light against light for the yellow mane against the yellow... I'm going to say rock? 2, light against dark, the white horse against the darker ground. Yep. Dark against dark, which is the shadows cast by the horse against the grass. And 4, dark against light, which is the snout. Okay. Interesting. I guess that about covers it. I had another one out here, which is from a Substack. So let's take a look at if this one has any additional information. It seems to also use the same Rembrandt painting, which is helpful to know. And I think this one actually helps it to stand out much more what the dark on dark and dark on light means. Okay. A particular Rembrandt painting of James Gurneys. Wait, is it just straight up... this guy's like the inventor of it? Wait, hang on. This weblog by Dinotopia creator James Gurneys. What the hell is Dinotopia? It's for illustrators, plain air painters, sketchers, comic artists, animators, art students, and writers. You'll find practical studio tips, insights to making the... Okay, can I take a look at the Dinotopia books? Can we get the Dinotopia books up on the Jumbotron here? Oh, this guy! Oh, I know this guy. He's the one who makes those fantastical paintings where like there's dinosaurs in the modern age. That's awesome. Got quite a portfolio, no kidding. He's also got a bunch of tutorial books, it looks like. Triads, gradients. I don't know what it is about it, but instructional books with this kind of layout, like this very kind of 80s to early 2000s layout, they just feel more sturdy than anything else. I don't know. I much prefer these to like a YouTube video, even though, you know, information at the end of the day is information. Okay. So let's go back to this one. A particular Rembrandt painting of a windmill held Gurneys' attention, and he broke it down into value, noting that all 4 combinations were present. Okay. After discerning this is the source of his visual satisfaction, he noticed the principle present in various other paintings by other artists. And while Gurneys could not confidently surmise these painters intended to prove this idea, the windmill principle is something I consciously try to apply to each picture I make. The starkest point of contrast are usually what pulls your eyesight first, helping a point of focus of an image. I try to implement this idea by placing the dark on light and light on dark values where I want the viewer to focus. Okay. Whoa, that got dark fast. Okay. Huh. Because I enjoy funky, unexpected color palettes, I rely heavily upon creating pictures based on value. The windmill principle is integral to my process. I hope you become a fan too. Okay. Alright, well, I guess we learned about the windmill principle. Stream's over, I guess. I'm just fooling. Okay, we should probably try and figure out what we should draw, though. I guess we could just draw like a doodle trying to replicate this. So what? Okay, let's start with this. Square, and we'll make this like this. Maybe we can expand this a little bit too. We'll make a square just so we have an area to work on. I've kind of fallen in love with this particular felt pen. Something about it, I don't know if it's just because like it feels less polished than using the G pen, but something about it feels more free to use. Guy who starts applying the windmill principle and adding the most contrast to characters' designs feats for some reason. Well, you do what you gotta do. Art is anything you can get away with. Hi, Ryan. How you doing? Now I'm having nightmares about Juri Han fan artists discovering the windmill principles from basic information. Right, they start to notice this like odd satisfaction that when they draw like the feet in this particular composition. Doing okay? Just thinking about windmills. I like windmills. I don't know. I'm kind of like the anti-Don Quixote. I'd throw down with that annoying old man if I could. Okay. Well, no, you shouldn't hit old people. Okay, you know what? How about... let's actually use the Rembrandt painting then. Copy image. They look at me funny, I think I should attack them. They resemble beastly dragons quite a bit. Me when I'm the most normal, well-adjusted guy on Earth. The windmills are up to something. I don't know. I feel like windmills are a very noble sort of beast, but I feel like if somebody was like skyscrapers are like ogres of our modern age, I must attack them. I would kind of be nodding my head a little bit. I don't know, maybe the perspective has changed because now we've like become accustomed to industrialization, so now the windmills... you know, maybe the windmill is now like a homey thing to us. Okay, so maybe what we could do... Alright, I've got an idea. I've got an idea for what I want to do. We're going to use a similar color palette to this, but we're going to use one of my characters, I think, because I just think that's the easiest way to do this. Facing upward just a little bit. Here's a question for you. When you learn to like make this cross on somebody's face for drawing, where did you assume this was supposed to go? Because I keep hearing that it should be like where your eyebrow line is. But I always thought about it as like a little bit like between the eyes and the nose. Just like kind of in that general area. Because if it was the brow line, it'd be kind of more up here. I guess it depends on your uses. I was thought the middle line was the eye line. Ah. I don't know. It's very exciting to learn how other people do art because there's no wrong answers to how you approach a lot of things. But this also means that a lot of people have methodologies and processes that some would consider highly unorthodox. Hang on, check this out. My hold up. Get a load of this clown that my likely ban evader thing just detected. Oh shit, there's a second one. They sent another. Oh shit, that's 3 in a row! Oh man! It's all from the same guy too. What are you doing, brother? This isn't they're taking like the shotgun rifle approach. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, so it's not, it looks like they've already been restricted. I don't know how to ban them any more than they've already been banned. But that is so funny. Have I actually ever told you all about the shotgun rifle approach? I think I might have brought it up once or twice, but I don't remember if I went into the specifics. It's been a little while since I actually read what it was about, or like the context of it. But basically, during a specific period in New York's history, there was a period of time where insurance companies would attempt to like inflate the costs they had to reimburse. And what they would do is that in a lot of cases they would try to. I can just erase those lines later. I'm letting them rock. In a lot of cases, the way that they figured out how to submit false claims through insurance was that they would first file a bunch of different claims, being like, okay, this one's got this slight variation, this one's got that slight variation, this one's got this slight variation. And if one of them got through, they would try to refine that one and make more frauds based on that one, which was successful. So it's the shotgun, which is the high variety and diversity of submitted cases first, to kind of feel out what the right method is. And then rifle, which is the refinement of that one that does work. It was originally used in the context of, or I at least heard it originally used in the context of this specific fraud. But I think it's not a bad approach to take for just prototyping. It is just basically prototyping. I'm not sure what this arm should be doing. Let's get rid of it real quick. Figure out the pose a little more. Honestly, the two-line approach might be for me, because I feel like I always have a hard time figuring out where the eyes are supposed to go. So maybe the two-line approach might be my cup of tea. Okay, so she's gonna have like a thing strapped to her back here. Okay. There we go. But you know, these I'm assuming that this one was very clearly a bot, but some of them are, sometimes it's hard to distinguish the ones that are bots from the people who are just kind of shameless but ultimately harmless. Like earlier today, one went onto Jupiter's server and tried to make a ruckus about like, oh, commission me for art, right? And like that one kind of disturbed me a little bit, because it's like a different kind of beast when they go into a Discord server. That's like they're breaking into your house to try and sell you their snake oil garbage. But like I don't know how to sometimes it's hard to distinguish the ones that are like actually bots between somebody who is like not necessarily well-meaning, but definitely a little bold, a little presumptuous. And granted, you should still block them in either case, but I don't know. It's really despicable how we have to put up with it. I feel like I should give her a jacket, but I don't know. Maybe some kind of vest? Nah. Or maybe. Actually, I was gonna give her like a scarf real quick, but then I realized she also has a bandana, and I feel like that would look a little bit silly. Like, I feel like you should have like maybe 3 loose pieces of cloth on you at any given time. Any more than that and you're being a little excessive. Like, can you imagine somebody rocking a bandana and also a cape? It'd be a bit much, right? Actually, come to think of it, I don't think I've seen that. Like, people have cowls, right? Like, they have, like, hoods that go over their heads and, like, stretch pretty nicely, you know? That's a classic superhero look. But I don't think I've ever seen, like, a superhero who has a cape and also, like, a sort of, like, tied-up bandana on the back of their head. It could have aura. I'm not saying it can't have aura. I'm saying I have a difficult time picturing it with aura. It'd look a little bit like a Gears of War character, honestly. Also, that hand needs to be a little bit bigger. Okay, then over here, we go like this. Let's make these a more reasonable size. We should also lower the shoulder a little bit down here and slope this part a little bit more just so it can fit in with the arm here. Okay. Perfect. Oh, dang it. You know who I should have drawn? I should have just drawn Pavilion. No, wait, that would have been difficult because she's see-through. I think that's going to throw off the tonal thing. I'm gonna need to like unleash her upon the world after we conclude the PMP campaign. There's no reason I can't do it now, but it doesn't feel right. Like the timing feels off. We need to finish her story before she can be set free. Maybe like this. Yeah, okay. Now then. There we go. And another one. I love drawing this kind of curly-ish hair, like the one that's kind of not it's I don't know how to call this particular style, but it's nice to make it like this wavy line. I don't know, there's something very satisfying about it. Let's flip the canvas for a second to see if we might not be missing something. Could definitely use a little bit of balance on this side. So let's use the free transform tool for a second here. Yeah, alright. So maybe we can just increase the size of this a little bit. Perfect. Okay. Not sure what kind of expression this is going to be like. So I guess we'll end up seeing how this goes. Let's get rid of this cross now. Okay. We can try to correct a little bit. The nose right now is looking a tiny bit too wide. Okay, and then we can shrink this eye here. And we can refine the shape of the face a little bit. Hell yeah, okay. We can add a little bit more curve to the neck here. Okay. Let's do another flip. This eye's looking a little bit huge. Although it might just be because of the lines intersecting like that. Let's just shrink it down anyway. See how that goes. Collarbones might be a little bit higher than that. Awesome, okay. And we're going to use a very similar principle to what we have back here. So maybe let's first start with hunting for a picture of a sunset or something. So let's go to trusty old Unsplash. Bring that back up. And we need to sort by license, free, orientation. Let's go landscape. Now, what we're looking for is one that has like a nice contrast between light and dark. So this one is basically perfect. Let's keep looking though. We might find some other stuff, some other goodies. Yeah, no, these don't have sufficient contrast in the color of the sky, so I think that first one that we saw is kind of it. Alright, let's just copy this one. Bring it back to Clip Studio Paint. And then rectangle, select this part. Paste, and then make a mask. Perfect. Okay. So here's what let's do. We have kind of the composition not really figured out at all, actually. What our first step should be is actually adding some background color so that she can exist in a physical space. Okay, got rid of this crap. We do not need this one or this one. Okay, perfect. And actually, let's bring that down to kind of like a grayish color. Ooh, actually, I'm kind of digging this yellow. Did you know that blue paper was actually very, you know, aside from blueprints, blue paper was actually pretty common for usage by artists back in the day as practice. So, let me look. I saw this on Wikipedia. There is a... Aha, here we go. Blue paper, also known in Italian as carta azzurra, carta cerulean, and carta turcina, is a blue-dyed rag paper, historically used as support for drawings and prints. With its inherent middle tone, blue paper is a particularly effective material for rendering the effects of three-dimensionality on a two-dimensional surface. For example, using light and dark drawing materials like chalk, charcoal, and ink. So yeah, there you go. People used to use this blue rag paper to practice drawing because as a middle tone, it was better for white for showing like the full range of possible values. Very handy stuff. God. Here we go. Sorting the rags was a time-consuming process carried out meticulously for high-quality writing papers. This was not necessarily the case for coarse wrapping paper. As work clothing in many regions consisted mainly of blue textiles, rag fibers were often already blue. Further, neither woad nor indigo, the most common blue colorants, require a mordant or substance to fix the dye and were dark enough to cover stains. Brown and gray papers were also produced in this period. The paper pulp for these less refined papers was stamped less thoroughly. Unlike white papers, they were often not bleached and were not treated with starch, as they did not need to be resistant to a quill. So yeah, neat stuff. But yeah, I'm just thinking of that while looking at this. So here, let's try this. Let's first set the values for the character on like a basic level, and then we can go more into the actual values. Because even if you have values in mind, you're not always going to be able to get what you want necessarily with your art, right? Or rather, I feel like that would be a bit of a constraining way to work. By prioritizing the value before everything else, I feel like you relinquish a little bit of control that you are able to exert over the piece. Or freedom, rather, that you're able to exert. That is interesting, that you need like a certain degree of control in order to exercise freedom in an artwork. It's at a little bit of a... How do you say? Like, at a little bit of a contrast with like the idea that constraints breed creativity. Because while that is true, I do think that if you want to create something truly spectacular, you do need that freedom. Like, being able to work within constraints is technically impressive, but sometimes you just really gotta... You gotta throw out your limiters a little bit. Okay. Let's go for... No, that doesn't seem right. Can we get this more vibrant? A little less vibrant. The tone is right, but something about it doesn't feel correct. Hang on. Select color gamut, this one here. Maybe we play around with saturation a little bit. She looks kind of Simpsonish right now. So, yeah, just a couple of clicks towards orange should sort her out. Oh, hi, Jupiter. How you doing? Hey, how are your streams today? I saw you were checking out some pretty interesting looking games. The art for the lady working the toll booth one was really interesting. I don't know, it felt it felt strangely cozy, even though it's probably a very stressful game. I remember playing Papers, Please as a demo one time as like a middle schooler, and I remember being hyper stressed out by having to check everything. Welcome to the city and art school. Nice. God, it is crazy to think that in another timeline I would have gone to art school, huh? Thank goodness for small favors, I guess. Okay, so we're gonna add like a sort of... You know what? That's actually pretty good for the shirt color. Let's go with that. But yeah, I hope you had a good time. I know you've been busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest throughout the Next Fest and throughout October. Really proud of you. Let's add this. Perfect. Is that okay? We already kind of have dark on dark. Screw it, why not? Actually, let's bring this back up to full opacity. I ended my run with 1998 by losing 60 units of the local currency through penalties in one day. Comparison to my 2030 something per day paycheck. Oh god. Damn. Yeah, no, that's rough. That's definitely rough. Well, at least you had fun, right? I mean, I hope you had fun. My baby is not going to get a food or a roof over its head when it's born at this rate. No, it is not. God. I had a cringe compilation moment at my workplace, and now my child won't get to eat. It's such a... God, it's just... you shouldn't laugh, but you can't... I can see the humor in it as like a game premise. As like the stakes of a game. First rule of Toll Booth is to have fun. Third rule is you have to help suppress the student uprising or baby will not get to eat. When it gets born. Yeah, if it gets... when it gets born, baby will not have much food to eat if you do not lock it. Okay, and maybe this kind of darker color for the eyes is also good. "1998, while specifically set in a fictional country, is based on Indonesia, and it's not like the only upcoming Papers, Please like set in Southeast Asia." Oof. Says a lot about society. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying... There's definitely... You know how, like, there's this theory that horror movies kind of cycle upon, like, whatever fear is most prevalent in society at that time period? Kind of getting those vibes right now. Paper Please likes are piling up. Yeah, our outbox is fucked right now. God. I'm kind of glad to some extent that now a lot of the digitization of workplaces and technology means that we don't have to deal with like the situation of like physical stacks of paperwork. Weird how it took a bit. That is true. May now is like when the time was right. May Jupiter's right that like the current political climate is kind of like what's inspiring these. I could definitely see an argument for it. Let's increase the contrast on these a little bit. There we go. Okay. We kind of got it going a little bit. We're gonna refine this for sure, but like let's try to and define where we got. Hang on. Let's try this. Okay. So let's go make felt pen like this, or actually no. Let's go like this. So this is gonna be white and light on light. This is gonna be dark on white. We'll flip it around for dark on white or white on dark. No, this would be white on dark, and the other one's gonna be dark on white. And then there's gonna be dark on dark. Perfect. Okay, so let's define where these are gonna end up. But yeah, no, it is especially weird given that I feel like the heyday of Paper Please's cultural significance is already kind of past us. Okay, so the skin here, it might be light on light, I'm not sure. Gonna need something over here too. I feel like we could probably make the hair glossy enough to make that happen. Okay. Over here we'll have dark on light. Over here we have light on dark. I guess this would also technically count as light on light. I'm not sure. It's a bit of a reach. I feel like one of my biggest weaknesses is that I don't know how to like pre-game with color. Also, this part over here is going to be dark on dark. So will this part actually. But yeah, I don't know how to pre-game with like values and everything. I'm pretty good now at figuring out like my proportions and where I'm gonna put everything that I'm gonna draw. But like in terms of color and shading, I still feel like I'm very primitive in terms of planning. Like once I get there, I'm fine. But like I feel like not heading into it with a specific plan is holding me back for real. Actually, we might be able to get with dark on dark with the bandana as well. And just for having it even, let's do it like that. Split multicolored over the canvas, making shit. Spill multicolored over the canvas, making shit up. I mean, there was that one time I made a brush that can spit out random shapes to like make character designs based off the shapes that it spit out, but I feel like that's not a sustainable method for long-term artistical progress. Leaving things up to chance too much is also unfavorable. Good solution, though. Okay, and then that's gonna go like this. We're gonna have a little bit more over here too. Okay. But yeah, like I said, I think going forward, unless I'm actually making like something super important right off the bat, I think I'm gonna try and stick with this like felt pen that I've discovered from Clip Studio more often. I think I might just make it the default weapon, default loadout. I'll see how I adapt. Now that I know I can use it as a tool, it's probably just something that I'll go towards when I need it. You know, like once you get comfortable with something, it's very easy to know when you should and should not use it. That doesn't look right. Hang on. Yeah, maybe something like this, actually. Okay, and what we could do as well is we could just add a tiny bit of the actual color from the edge of the canvas here. Nice, okay. And then continuing with the spirit of that. We can just add a couple of shadows here. But yeah, light on light, huh? I think I've kind of understood it. I think I've noticed what James Gurney meant when he was like, I didn't realize it, but like once I saw it, I couldn't stop seeing it. Like, I feel like a lot of this, I don't know why this triangle is here. It's bothering me. Let's get rid of it. But yeah, I think I understand a little bit about what he means, because I don't think I've grasped it fully just yet, but I can feel that it's very intuitive. Like, already this is looking pretty good. Okay, and then just a little bit of the soft eraser over here. How do I make mouth bone? Yes? Something about it makes it look a little bit too much like wrinkle, though. Which is not what I'm going for. Also, I'm trying to avoid using painterly shading. I should try to rely on cell shading if I can. So let's do that. Okay. And actually we can add a little bit of shadow up here too. There would be some because of the bandana. Okay, yeah, let's do this. We'll use a slightly less intense shadow color here. Something about its vibe is off though. Like maybe if maybe I need to throw it more towards the dark side. Something about it just isn't working. Let's forget it for now. The one downside of working with the felt pen brush is that it creates like these little lines here, which you could say it adds some stylistic texture, but I'm not a fan of them. Okay. We should also use like a near black for the parts here. Yeah, that seems like a good color. We windmilling with this one, that's right. I want you... what I should have done is that I should have edited my sprites, so I'm just like doing that thing. You know when like little kids try to like windmill their arms to hit something to hit something? I should have like just made myself doing that. But yeah, we also need to darken the shadows on the Popeye wind-up precisely. Something about this is also wrong. Like, even though maybe I need to like move it the other way. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that was the right answer. I think what's might be throwing me off as well is like this change in colors. It's like I'm very used to doing like use a unified base palette and then go filtering with it. Change it until it suits the actual thing that you're doing right now. Also, I need to shave off like a huge chunk of her head here. Let's actually add a little bit of a darker shadow there. Perfect. And what we can also do is we can just also add... maybe just the slightest little bit of like this bright color to the edge of the beanie, or to the bandana. Yeah, that seems fine. That being said, for this shadow color, yeah, just making it a little bit more dull feels like the right answer. Maybe not so saturated. Maybe like that. Yeah, a little bit. Okay, and what we can do here is we can just go over here. Just a little bit. Very subtle. This one we maybe should blend out a little bit. Perfect, okay. And this way it's also pretty good for making sure that... Actually, what we should do is try to add... to deepen the shadow here, just so that it... Hang on. Really, really want to blend this out, though. Hang on. I don't know about that. This feels more natural, but I don't understand why, which is going to be a problem. Here we go. Perfect. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to... Hang on. Maybe we can just make this, like, pure 000 black. Like that. Maybe that's going to be what we need to differentiate it a little bit. Okay, there we go. Yeah, okay. Something like this feels like it's in the right path. It is really funny that for whatever reason, a lot of us still, like, recognize Popeye. I feel like I remember watching Popeye's cartoon once when I was a kid. Were those, like, ever taken off the air? Like, how long has that guy been around? Like, can children still watch Popeye cartoons if they want to? Like, could I just, like, go put on a Popeye short for, like, a baby cousin or something? I don't know. Calling them important cultural heritage feels a little bit... It feels like a little bit of a hyperbole, but, like... I don't know, I feel like, Popeye was, like, the single reason a lot of children were kind of hyped to try out spinach. There's probably some, like, hashtag childhood ruined theory out there that, like, Popeye is actually, like, getting opium out of those cans or something. I don't know. Although, given the kind of ridiculousness that the world of Popeye operates on, I wouldn't be surprised if bro really is doing all that off a can of spinach. Okay, then over here. Okay, and we can also add a big cast shadow over here for the hair and the... head. Okay, I'm gonna need to blend this part out. Maybe hit it with the aerosol can a couple times too, just for good measure. There we go. I don't know. My TV network was kind of like an odd one, so I feel like what they played wasn't like what was hip with the kids necessarily. I think like they just played whatever old bullshit they had on deck, which isn't a bad way to structure your programming, I suppose. There's worse ways you could do it, but it is really funny. It did lead to some various funny situations for me. I need to get rid of this line. Okay. Perfect, here we go. Something about that doesn't seem right. I think I went too heavy-handed with it. There we go. Maybe that's why I became so online from a tender age. I think it might have just been because like because like all the TV stations were like, I just played some bullshit. Fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji. And I was like, well, this sucks. I'm gonna go look up 3-part Sonic X episodes on YouTube. As was the style at the time. Okay. There we go. Every single time I have like a complex shading situation ahead of me, I got the painterly style rendering whispering in my ear like the Green Goblin mask. I want to get better at cell shading. I need to learn the method. I need to study the skill. Maybe I can still clutch this for the light and dark. Actually, you know what I could do? I could try gradients. Actually, that might work for this one too. No, that just it makes it look shiny. That's a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, no. Let's just forget about that. Okay, and then over here. And we'll use this one to cast an additional shadow here. Maybe a little bit more like this. I don't know if you can tell what it is now, though. Maybe I should use the one that I'm currently using for it. Or just kind of slowly make it less weird. We can still have just a little bit of it, though, as a treat. How do we make a lighter color of this, though? I feel like that's where the real money is gonna be. Could I just, like... Maybe if I just use this... Yeah, okay, and then that way we'll make the zipper for this. Could also just add a tiny little bit of shadow to the eye here. That would have to be on the shading layer. Okay. Now, this is pretty good. I think we can still do better, though, because there's a particular thing that I want to try. A couple of things, actually. Okay, first things first, let's rasterize this. Use the Gaussian blur. And then set this to, like, multiply or something. And that'll give it, like, a nice warm effect. And then the other thing... Heck, I think I forgot what the other thing was. Oh no, wait, hang on. The other thing was that I wanted to keep working on the strap here. Yeah, okay, now that's something, because that helps it blend in against the dark, and that creates a contrast. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. Yeah, the other thing that I need to do is to also add, like, something on her shirt. So maybe flat marker. Maybe something like this one here. Okay. I think this is pretty good. I think we could definitely make the windmill principles a little bit stronger, but I think this is fine, honestly. In any case, it's a useful thought exercise, and it helped me play around a little bit with colors. Plus, we also, like, made something out of it, so I always count that as a win. It is a little bit early to be retiring, though, but I don't know if I got another one of these in me. Oh. You know what we could do? Now that we've finished up this little exercise, I should save my work first. What I could do is actually get started on the thumbnail for Saturday. I haven't actually gotten started on that yet, and I still gotta... I gotta snap to attention on that, because otherwise it's gonna sneak up on me. So yeah, we're gonna play Resident Evil again this time. I'm actually really happy with the logo that I ended up using for the... for the stream. So, it is just a normal Resident Evil logo. I actually had to find a couple of them originally, so... It's actually much harder to find these than I had thought it would be. These were actually me trying to find like knockoff versions of the text for the logo. I think this one's from the actual like 7th edition, or like not 7th edition, the 7th game. But I ended up finding like a PlayStation listing for the original Resident Evil, and then I slapped Biohazard over it because I always thought that was a cooler name. I like how it turned out. It feels a lot like those jazz cups that have the little blue and purple swirlies on them. I don't know. I'm very happy with how the logo came out. Also, for the purposes of the playthrough, I did end up collecting a bunch of creepy mansion pictures. So let's see. I got this one, which isn't particularly creepy, but I think I could, like... It does fit in with, like, what the mansion is like a little bit. And I think I can still do something with it, especially if I, like... put myself at the end of the hall. There's also this one. This one here. I don't think I'm going to go with this one because it's a little bit grainy and that's bugging me. I really like this one though. Although it's a little blurry. So maybe not this one either. Let's actually hit these two with the color. This one's nice though. This one feels good. This one might be the one. I mean, I don't know. Which one of these feels the most goated? I feel like this one, if we're trying to exercise the windmill principles, I think this one might be the best one. Okay, let's go with this one then. Do we have more on either side of it? We do, just a little bit. Okay, where's the logo going to sit? Kind of up there, huh? Okay. Let's get started then. I should also keep a reference of myself, how I drew myself for this one, somewhere in the second folder. I kind of like how my Stars uniform outfit came out. I used the shoulder pads that Jill's outfit had, but I added my own green color scheme to it. Although it had to be desaturated a lot just so it would fit in. Look at my special tactics operative dog. We're not making it out of this mansion. It's also really funny spotting the fire extinguisher back here. Like in the context of this being the RK mansion. I don't know, I think that's pretty funny. God, I don't think I've drawn myself walking very much. I feel like I should draw more people walking at various angles because it's just such a good natural movement. Okay, then over here, perfect. Let's see. Yeah, we can put one hand in front of the other. Just, that's how you walk normally. God. I tell this story a lot. There was like, I think, I walked very strangely up until around university because I just did not move my arms when I walked. I just like had them dangling by my side. It wasn't until somebody pointed it out that I ended up trying to change it. Thankfully, it did end up working, but like, I do wonder what caused it. Maybe I just got too used to having my hands in my hoodie pockets all the time. There's any number of reasons why your body might do something that's unusual. Oh yeah, I also did give myself a bandana because it felt wrong to just have my rice exposed in this kind of situation. Felt too vulnerable. Okay, yeah, perfect. It is kind of funny how big the shoulder pads look on me, though. Big old trapezoidal things. I briefly considered making the shoulder pads hang off my waistband like a pair of suspenders, but I considered against it because I already had a belt in the design and it would look a little strange. I've always understood why that faux pas exists. Like, you're not supposed to wear suspenders and a belt at the same time. Like, I understood why it exists, I just never understood why people observed it. Like, you can understand the purpose of something and still think it's stupid. Okay, and then we're gonna just hike this up just a tiny bit. It does look a little bit ridiculous like this, though. Just gonna keep my machete at the back here. Maybe I could raise this up just a tiny bit. So that it's closer to the chest straps for the... whatchamacallit? The shoulder pads. There we go. Now, if I have to point out a single character flaw in my design, it's that I can't make my mouth do this without it not making sense. Or at least not being a little bit strange. Like, it definitely communicates the feeling of, like, me having my lips pursed, but there's no... Like, if I wanted to animate that happening, right, it would have to be like my front two teeth pop out like hidden blades. Meanwhile, my fangs kind of recede back into my skull. At that point, I'd be more like an alien creature than a bag of rice. Like one of those lamprey eels. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Just a little bit, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I don't foresee this line art causing me too many problems, except maybe for the shoes. Again, I really should be grinding harder on pictures of people walking. Oh well, shoulda, coulda, would. What's more valuable is the kind of skill you can show off right now. Or rather, the kind of skills you have, rather than bemoaning the skills you don't have. I do feel like art is, over time, just a series of shortcuts and tricks that you eventually kind of make your own into a sort of freedom. Like I feel I look at I look at recordings of myself drawing sometimes, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's that trick that I learned that one time, and it's like that every 5 seconds. Like eventually, it just stops being like a specific trick and part of your workflow, and I think that's when you're true. That's when you kind of like achieve true freedom with something. Okay, and then over here. One, two. Perfect. It's also, this angle is also a little bit nice because I don't have to worry about the stars logo too much. It's not particularly problematic to try and put it on myself. I'm just annoyed having like something associated with the police on me. Okay, there we go. God, the lore behind the stars unit is also really funny because like there was like this whole urban renewal project that Raccoon City was going under, which was of course backed by the Umbrella Corporation, so they had a finger in a lot of different pies. And like the city commissioner was like, I need like an elite police task force. And anybody with a correct state of mind is like, dude, we have like less than 100,000 people in this city. Why do we need that? And he's like, because. God. Okay, then over here. Oh yeah, I should also add the machete here. It's also really funny that I, by pure accident, picked the harder route out of the two of them, because Jill has a slightly easier time, apparently, going through the mansion, and she also has more inventory slots than Chris does, which is really funny. So my plan is to restart the playthrough on Jill's side, because quite honestly, I haven't made that much progress. And I'm also going to be trying to use the strategy guide from the 80s for this, which I found on the Internet Archive, which is awesome. Okay, nice. I will say that it occasionally, having been that I've been reading the one for Fallout and the one for Resident Evil and such, I've been reading quite a few strategy guides from like the 90s, 80s recently, right? And one thing that I do not miss about strategy guides is how sassy they were. Like a bunch of these sound like they're written by some teeny bopper YouTuber from the mid 2000s who's trying to ape off angry video game nerd, but can't curse. It is highly entertaining. Maybe that's where like the angry video game nerd cadence came from. That and having the limiters off and being able to cuss. Who knows? It is fascinating to kind of piece together where certain era-specific accents kind of found their roots. Because one time somebody said that a bunch of the people who were made like funny posts in the mid 2000s were getting a lot of their prosaic style from Achewood, which having read Achewood, it makes a lot of sense now. Like, yeah, literally everybody thought they were Chris Onstad back in that day. There's also that whole VTuber accent thing that I've been like very consciously trying to avoid because I don't want to end up sounding like that. But it might already be too late for me. Like a couple of weeks back, I was transcribing. I was like writing down notes on somebody's streams, and I heard it. I heard like the VTuber voice happen a couple of times, and every single time I'm like, okay, maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration. I wouldn't say I was scandalized, but it's something that once you've recognized it, it starts to ruin your day a little bit. Not that other people use it, but that you yourself recognize it. Like, have you ever gotten mad at yourself for getting mad at something? It's a little bit like that. I kind of recognized that what I was getting, that like what was irking me about it was like very small potato. So I just had to, I almost had to like CBT my way out of getting angry. It's pretty funny. I don't know how you avoid having that happen to you. I think you just need to watch fewer VTubers and start listening to more podcasts or something. That reminds me, I need to start listening to a football podcast. Not because I've gained an interest in football, but because I need something to talk about with my brother once we meet up. I feel like if I can get myself like caught up to speed on like the current happenings of football, I feel like I can maybe at least interface with him. He's a great guy, but I feel like I don't have much common ground with him. And you know, I want there to be common ground. Okay. It's fucking awesome because it's also really awesome because sometimes in the office, the office television set in the break room is set to like some random sports channel that I have never really like been super into. I've never really watched that. I've never like sat at the television for long periods of time and watched that particular channel while I'm in the break room. Usually I scroll around on my phone. But there are some dudes who like stand there at rapt attention, just observing the goings on. There's like I met a guy in my office job who loves F1 racing, for example, which I don't know. That's kind of cool meeting somebody who has that interest, even though you don't really share it, right? Even though you don't see yourself becoming a fan of it, it's still interesting to meet somebody who does have it. I've talked about this a lot. I have like a sort of strange awe for people whose tastes are like super, super, super vanilla. Like, you know how a lot of gacha games will have at least like one blonde pretty boy to like pander to like certain heterosexual tastes or homosexual that blonde pretty boy is somebody's cup of tea. And like learning that there are people who like actually thirst over those guys, I don't know, there was something kind of amazing about it. I don't know how else to put it. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm glad that there's all kinds of people who love all kinds of characters in this world. Well, it makes you feel like there's a space for everyone. Okay, let's use this color. It's gonna be crazy if I manage to finish the thumbnail. That's gonna be a huge load of work off of for me. Okay, put this like that. Oh, forgot the middle clasp here. I guess there's also a little bit of Leon Kennedy DNA kicking around in this one. I think it's because of the shirt more than anything. Okay, then like that. I don't know. I feel like I had a period of time where I really liked the concept of tactical gear, but now it just seems super uncomfortable to wear. Even though theoretically it's not supposed to be. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I feel like tactical gear isn't the most, you know, like between like lounge clothes and tactical gear, you should probably choose lounge clothes. I don't know. Then again, my idea of lounge clothing is to wear like a boiler suit, so you know, my tastes are not universal for sure. Like I said, there's a broad variety of things out there in the world. Broad variety of people, too. Okay, and then we'll use this color for the pants. This color for the machete. This is supposed to be a hole. Okay, and then the boots are this color. Okay, how's that look with the background? Wonderful. Let me add this here. We can also adjust the color and lighting to be a little bit closer to the background. So let's use the color match feature. This should be good. Okay. Then next up, shading. Let's put this here. Oh, that's too dark. That's way too much. How about this? Oh, we also need to add the colors for this, for the buttons here. There we go. Actually, let's just bring this whole thing down a couple of... I don't know how to, like, put myself into perspective here. I think that should be fine. Okay. Then over here. Perfect. Okay, let's proceed like this. And actually, we can add just a tiny little bit of a scrap of light over here. This is feeling good. I'm liking this. That being said, I'm also going to need to look up a lot more art principles. Maybe I could use that James Gurneys person's blog to figure out more of these art principles. I think that would be maybe a good sort of mini warm-up or something. I don't know. I'm trying to think more about like what I can do to make this more engaging and more beneficial to my own capabilities with art. But, you know, one brick at a time. Okay. Oh, I accidentally, hang on. There we go. Okay, and then we'll just add a little bit of this. And actually, we'll need to add a little bit of here, too. Just for that little tiny part there. Okay, then over here. Perfect. Now we just need to use a darker color for the pants. Establish that. That color looks a little bit garish. Maybe we can decrease the saturation of it a little bit. Yeah, that feels a little better. Nice. Alright, we can also add a couple of different shadows too. Just to really define the rest of this a little better. So like over here. Over here. Is there anything else I need to be mindful of? May a secondary shadow color for the skin? That might actually be handy. Yeah, especially for like small parts right here, for example. Okay. Then over here. Yeah, it's kind of hard to apply the windmill principles when most of the whole thing is in a darker tone, huh? Oh no, I mean, there's still like places where we can apply the windmill principle to some extent. Like if we made it, hang on. Actually, that might not be a bad idea. What if we did just make it cover more space? Huh. You know what? That's pretty good. That being said, we do need to thin out the line art a little bit. It's a little hyper thick right now. Yeah, a little bit more than that. Yeah, what I don't like about doing this to to raster layers is that it creates like this gap in a lot of the places where like previously there were like nice clean shadows. It's not too hard to fix, but it is kind of a bother all the same. Let's try this. Yep. Okay. Yeah, no, sometimes this can get a little bit hairy. Let's take this from the top a little bit. I like the idea of showing myself as, hang on, maybe area scaling 2. There we go. I think that's going to be the best approach. I wanted to kind of make myself small in these just so it kind of had that claustrophobic feeling, but honestly, good composition is good composition. Okay. Jeez, everything got messed up a little bit. Hey, what's content-aware scaling for in Photoshop anyway? I see it being used to make memes and such, but I don't know if that's its actual intended purpose. Feels like there's probably a more noble cause that it should be developed to, huh? Or developed to resolve. Okay, then over here. As I thought, this is pretty tough. But it's fine, we got plenty of time still to iron out any kinks. Honestly, we could just use the millipen brush too and go a little bit ham. Okay. Do this. Perfect. And then over here, por fin yo llego. Hi, Grand Blast. How have you been? We wrapped up the Windmill principle practice over on this end, so now we're just working on the thumbnail for Saturday. How's your night going? Doing great. How about you? Doing all right. I'm gonna try and turn in early today, though. I feel like my lack of sleep is catching up to me. Awesome sauce. Do we have the etymological origins for awesome sauce? Do we know like where like the earliest recorded instance of awesome sauce was? Like, do we have a source for that? Hang on. Let me boot up Wiktionary real quick. Here we go. Now, in English, alternative form of awesome sauce. It's a mystery lost to time. Okay, etymology from awesome plus sauce apparently originated in the 2003 episode Strong Bad Email number 75 of Homestar Runner, in which the character Strong Bad says, well, aren't you going to get your 409 or awesome sauce or whatever you're going to use to clean this up with? Referring to an imaginary brand name of cleaning product for ketchup. Usage of the term might be after earlier weak sauce. Holy shit. Canada, US, internet slang, dated. Damn. Whenever like a word that you think is trendy or that you're like, hey, that's still pretty new, right? Gets hit with the dated on Wiktionary, it hurts a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, it does hurt a little bit. But it would be freaking Strong Bad Email who came up with that. Okay, then over here. Learn something new every day. That's true. That's damn true. I do miss a little bit the innocence at the time when a guy could just say awesome sauce and not... and it would just be a normal thing to say. I do think, you know what? No, you did it though. Like Grand Blast, you hit the awesome sauce pretty suavely. I think it's definitely still possible to do it. I don't know. I feel nostalgic for awesome sauce. Does that make sense? Hi, hey, Leah, how you doing? We just discovered the etymological origins of awesome sauce. Still normal? Yeah, like I said, it's like the panache that you delivered with. If you delivered normally enough, people will assume it's normal. Just finished a big exam and presentation. Congratulations! Thank you for your hard work. What's the rest of your night looking like? Just gonna decompress? Eating a burrito? That sounds like decompressing to me. Way to go, Tiger. Good stuff. Okay. Yeah, my days off are Wednesday, so I rot. I'm glad I'm able to catch your stream. Oh, nice. Thank you. I'm glad I'm glad we got to talk as well. No, this should be more like a straight line. Awesome. Okay. What's the windmill principle? Oh, okay. So there's this old Rembrandt painting that this guy called James Gurneys, who did a lot of cool books where like he envisioned a society where dinosaurs were still a relevant thing. He discovered it when he noticed that the windmill had like a very strong appeal because it had 3 different combinations. So up here, hang on. Up here, we have the light windmill vane against the darker skies. So that's light on dark. Over here, we have the light windmill vane over the light sky, which is light on light. We have this darker windmill vane with a shadow cast over it, over the white sky, which is dark on white. And then we have this also shaded windmill vane part here on the rest of the windmill, which is dark on dark. So there's two different types of colors. There's like light and dark. And having the full combination of light, dark, dark light, dark on light, and dark on dark creates an oddly satisfying composition. So I try to replicate that with a quick sketch over here, with a photo from Unsplash. And yeah, it's interesting. It's very useful for portraits. Yeah, looks very good. Yes, I'm also very pleased with how it came out. Okay. There's a couple of lines that are reaching over here. And that one of your OCs? It is. This one's called Sunny. Let's go over here. I like Sunny a lot because by all means she should be living out some kind of shoujo romantic comedy type shit in her life, but she's been forced to lock in. Okay. Don't we all? I know that's damn true. Maybe someday I'll be able to like have like a full panel of like my heart of like a heart sound effect when my significant other is near, but for the time being I have to lock in. Oh, what's up? What's going on? Are you okay? Or did you remember something important? Is your oven on? Is your refrigerator running? Hang on, I gotta try something real quick. Oops. This guy in my cloud has guinea pig as his lock screen and showed me them. Aw, cute. I love guinea pigs. Such adorable little creatures. Very endearing little things. Then I looked at him and it was like, wow, you're like if a guinea pig wanted to be a human. He looked like one? You've been very productive today. You've gotten your presentations done, and you assigned a guy his persona. Nice going. You're killing it out there. Love when owners look like their pets. It is very charming when that happens. I will say. I don't know enough people with pets to be able to like accurately discern it, but it is true that occasionally they have a very strong semblance. Okay, and then it's gonna come in like this. Oh yeah, also, somebody finally went in to take a look at my oven today, which is very exciting. I'm finally gonna be able to make baked goods again. Goes back to the bulldog thing. Bulldog thing. It was still broken? I put in the work order like last Saturday, and today is when they finally locked in and brought a guy over. And by last Saturday, I mean Saturday from last week, not like... Or no, Saturday from the week before last week, because last Saturday was still last week. So yeah, it's been almost 2 weeks. But they finally brought in a guy. Yeah, no, I'm very excited to have a functional oven again. The weather's getting chillier, so it's the perfect time to start making some baked goods. Got my eyes set on a recipe for chocolate chip banana muffins that was recently unearthed from my family's scrolls. Which we technically took from someone else's family's scrolls. Make some empanadas, my brother? That's a great idea. Or conchitas. You know, no. You know what? Empanadas are the way to go because I remember that the last thing that I wanted to make before my oven broke down was empanadas. So empanadas I think are going to be like the make or break for me. I think it's got to be empanadas or nothing for the time being. Or I could make both, honestly. I have enough ingredients probably to go around. Can't wait to see you tweet when you have to freeze a ton of them. I don't think they'll last a day, quite honestly. Like, I feel like saying that I'll have any left to freeze over is pretty generous. You're right, because you will share them with me. Take as many as you want, my brother. Honestly, it is my favorite when you can just share food easily. I don't know how to put it. I low key, I do feel like if I ever get a chance to introduce myself to my neighbors, I should be on my I accidentally made too much. Would you like some type shit? Like genuinely, if in next place I move into, that's gonna be the move. I shared chippies with Melita before she took him the whole bag. Oh yeah, how was your hangout with Melita? Did y'all have fun? My home base malfunction of the month is being woken up in the middle of the night by my carbon monoxide alarms going off. The detectors were working fine. The misbehaving contraption was what was producing the gas. Oof. That's scary, though. Carbon monoxide ain't no joke. Still, it sounds like it's all fixed up by now. Did everything turn out okay, Jupiter? Weird meeting online people in person. Like, you only really feel familiar with them when you're just hearing their voice. Yeah, it's gonna be weird. I don't have a lot of situations where I only knew somebody online before we met up physically. Usually it's the other way around. We got lost so many times and we lost my car. What, you mean like lost, or like you lost it in the parking lot and had to take your time finding it? Because if so, I'm sorry for your car. Lost it in the parking lot at night. Oh, brother. My sympathies. God. I'm pretty sure, like, my recall is so good because our father trained us to, like, remember where we parked so thoroughly. Like we were like 5 or 7 years old, right? Like my brother was like 12 or something, and our dad would just like look at us dead serious and be like, "All right, kids, we parked in this spot. Remember it." And we would be like saluting, like, "Yes, sir, hoorah!" Like that was our mission whenever we parked. I didn't get sick from it, luckily, but I don't have heat again. Oh gosh, I hope that gets resolved quickly. It's hard trying to drive to her house at night and trying not hard to accidentally end up not in the US. So, it sounds like y'all had fun. I'm glad everything worked out. I see some kind... Is this from the... Hang on. I gotta check something in the logo section. Are these from the logo layer? They are! Oh my god. Can't wait to visit her again and actually meet Big Boy. Meeting Big Boy feels like it's gonna... Like, I know Melita is a streamer, but I feel like meeting Big Boy is gonna feel like meeting an actual celebrity. I don't know. He just sounds so cool. We're gonna cause so much chaos. I hope you all have fun. God, that is also really funny. Like, once you actually do meet up with people, it's also you also need to like have a specific plan in mind, or else you're toast. Right? Because like, imagine you book a ticket out to meet your friends or something, right? You drive all the way there, and like once you get there, you're like, cool. So what can I do for you? And like you're like that one PNG of like a monkey with its finger in its mouth, like Oh, I guess an improvised plan is also pretty good. I've been obsessed with that picture. Hang on, let me put it up on the Jumbotron in case y'all haven't seen it, or you don't know which one I'm talking about. This one. God, I love this picture. If we were to meet up, we will get a boba and eat empanadas. Nice. A squad needs a benevolent plan dictator, however that smarty pants presentation goes. Benevolent plan dictator is a very good term for it. Like, you just need somebody who is locked in onto this organizational shit. I feel like, to me, like, that's the epitome of maturity, because like my dad used to be that. Or, you know, my dad is that still. Like, whenever we had to, like, go to the airport or anything, right? He would, like, have this, like, Ziploc of passports. Like, he would have everything ready. Like, he would be there, like, we need to be there 3 hours ahead of time. It was awesome. Traveling to the ends of the earth to play video games and chat together. You need the Home Depot theme song playing in the background. Okay. Here we go. I've never had a chance to really listen to the Home Depot theme song. Is it like electronic, or like what is the genre of the Home Depot song? Can one of y'all send it to me real quick? Oh, hang on. I realize now that we haven't finished on this song, but that's fine. We can just get there later. I think I'm most of the way to benevolent plan dictator at this point. Honestly, you do feel like you would be really good for organizing stuff. I feel like whenever we go to your streams, it feels like a very prepared and organized catalog, because you just have so much stuff to run through. DM'd? Thank you. Saw a Cutie Honey remix of the Home Depot theme once. Yeah, how did that go? Let's see. Huh. Okay, hang on. Let me put this up on the Jumbotron real quick. Desktop audio on. Web browser on. Okay. Okay, nice slow build up. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, I can get down to this. Alright, interesting. Thank you for showing me that. For some reason, the opening bass riff reminded me a lot of the opening to Shinigami by Kenshi Yonezu. Maybe that's part of the sauce. You can't just wing eating anywhere if your snack nation has dietary restrictions. Just accept my reign. I already have combed over the menus of places within a reasonable distance. Oh shit, Leo, are you like are you watching Cutie Honey or something? I don't know much about that series. I do know it was made by the same guy who made Devilman, I think. Which Devilman messed me the fuck up. Okay, then over here. Been watching the OG series on and off. Cool. I listened to the Cutie Honey Home Depot song and it's making my brain go boing, 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 like the door stoppers. Devilman and Mazinger. Right. Okay, then over here, here, and here, and we can just trim off these last couple sections. Gracie found Cutie Honey through that. True. Honestly, there's less strange things to find stuff through. I remember I randomly got recommended a fucking Homestuck AMV one time, and that was like my introduction to Homestuck. I technically got spoiled for everything after Act 5. Oh god, that was pretty funny. Come to think of it. I didn't even know, like, like I started reading Homestuck. I'm like, that's weird. When does he get the blue hoodie? Like it was some kind of power up in a video game. Fuck, that's funny. Okay. Now then, for the knife. Okay. I really love that style of Cutie Honey, especially all the vibrant colors. You do love a series with good vibrant color schemes. Although I also have space in my heart for like more subdued palettes. But I don't know. I feel like because the animation medium has such a wide variety of colors possible, it does feel like a little bit of a waste to not at least dabble with like super bright color palettes from time to time. Did I add... Hang on. Did I add wood grain to it before? No, I didn't. Okay, perfect. Alright, we'll use a gradient erase then. Or just a normal gradient. It looks like I forgot to actually add a clear color for it. Yeah, that's okay. Maybe like this. I do think I need a little bit more space on the chin here. Yeah, that feels about right. I still need to make myself look like I'm more in part of this environment, so I'm going to try a couple more of my usual witchcraft with the gradient energy. With the gradient mapping or color matching. Like, this is pretty good, honestly. What I might do as well is also add a little bit of like a shadow in a couple of these places, just so that it doesn't distract from the foreground too much. If you can't naturally make the dark on light for the windmill principle, store-bought is fine. Okay. And actually, could we also make it so that... Oh shoot, I forgot this entire arm for shading. Oh no. Okay, we're gonna need to rerun that one after a little bit. I also forgot to do the shading for this part here. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I do wonder like what the kind of lifestyle that people who like have a bunch of energy all the time must have. Like they must have a very strong heart, or like I do know that there are certain people who can get by with like 4 hours of sleep. They don't have, there's no specific technique to it. It's more of a quirk to their bodies. It is of course beneficial for them, but I can't imagine it's healthy for you in the long run. Like you probably do just have to take naps at some point during the day to do so, but if they don't feel tired, that must also be difficult. It's rough out here. Okay. And add these ones over here. I see, I also missed this arm back when I was redoing this part. That's probably why it's like that. There we go. I have an energetic personality, but I also tire really easily for some reason. Oh, that's gotta be tough. Still, I guess it is probably better that you are energetic. I imagine you're the life of the party wherever you go, though. If that's the case. Although you can only stay for a little while because you need to take a little nap. I guess it has its ups and downs like everything else. Sorta? Well, it's probably a little bit more complicated than that. Quiet but very animated. Nice. That's a good way to be. Okay. Gonna add this like this. And we'll add another slash here. I'm like one of those Chinese firecrackers. Yeah, do elaborate. I want to learn more. Okay, now we're ready for messing around with the different stuff. So I do think what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to just try and find the darkest color that is available here. Like maybe like this one. Or maybe this one actually, yeah. Big reactions in small intervals, then quiet. Ah, I understand, I understand. Yeah, I do think that there's definitely times when I'm more active. And I feel like sometimes if I just like smell the blood in the water for a joke to be made, then I start like rapid firing, but after that I just kind of like peter out a little bit. Or like I'll feel like I have the opportunity to contribute something meaningful to a conversation and be like, now's my chance, say my piece, and then leave, and then like tune out for a little while until I can like say something or like otherwise contribute. Otherwise, I'm just still like nodding my head and doing the things that you're supposed to do to show that you're paying attention even though you're not saying anything. Okay, then over here. I'm definitely better at speaking one-on-one, though. I feel like I mostly get like that, like the way that I just described, whenever I have to participate in like larger groups. Otherwise, I'm a very even stream of energy, I think. Like eventually I tuck her out, of course, but I don't like hurry and I don't delay, basically. Okay. Merge these together. All right, now we go all in on this. Multiply one looks kind of clean, honestly. I have trouble with eye contact and speaking to people, but I also move like an actual toon. God, I feel that. Yeah, no, I'm definitely in the same camp where I feel like I'm not moving. Like, I move the way that I want to move, but that's not necessarily the best way to move, if that makes sense. Like it's not the most conventional way to move. Maybe darken would be fine. Trying to figure this out is giving me a headache. Yeah, this should be fine. Yeah, I think that should be fine for the thumbnail for today. Or not for today, for Saturday. That reminds me that I do at some point have to touch up one of the Hollow Knight ones. I do literally leap when I'm scared. I've been told that I overreact a lot when I get startled. Like, I will actually, like, yell out loud. And it startles whoever like startled me. It's kind of a vicious cycle. But I'm a real tough gal otherwise. Good to hear. You know, I have very exaggerated startles, so I feel you. I'll never forget this one time. I was taking out the garbage in my apartment building, right? I was going downstairs to like the garbage room that my building has. And on my way out, I saw a mouse scurry in front of the door. And it took me like 3 seconds before I actually was like, oh! I think my brain just froze, and it took a moment to remember, oh wait, right, I should probably be like surprised by that. Let's see. Okay, what the other thing we can do is add a small gradient here. Maybe more like this? Yeah, that should be good. And of course, we're gonna super dilute that. And then apply it in a blending mode. Yeah, that looks nice. Alright, I should probably shut off stream before I keep, like, toying with this and eventually, like, going across a point of no return. But thank you all for hanging out with me. It was a lot of fun learning about the windmill principle and, you know, getting, of course, work done for ahead of schedule. That's always a pleasant surprise. But yeah, in the meantime, take it easy. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And is anybody live right now, actually? Oh yeah, Set's live. Let's go say hi to Set then. Alright then, folks. Take it easy. Have a good rest of your evening, and I will see you all on Thursday. Bye-bye.